This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Best Bets for Pets. You know, so many of us that have dogs and cats have allergies, but this is for those that have cats that have allergies because, you know, it seems to be much more traumatic when you have cats and allergies. So what are you supposed to do? Well, my guest today has a product that's going to blow you away. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to welcome Dr. Evan Zhao. He is the co-founder of Pacagen. So welcome, Dr. Zhao.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
So can you give us a little background on yourself?
Yeah, my name's Evan. I'm a scientist by training. I used to specialize in biotechnology. And for the last 4 years or so, I've been starting companies to create products that could help people. So that could really help impact people's lives. Around a year and a half ago, we started Pacagen, which focuses on, right now, a product that helps with reducing the amount of active cat allergens in an area.
Okay, so let's talk about cat allergies. I'm allergic to cats, but it's more their fur. And the reason I did actually do that allergy test, I guess it's the old school one where you have dots that show up on your arms. It was a long time ago. Are there any other allergy tests?
Yeah, there's they can do blood work. There's different things that they can do to try to figure out what you're allergic to. But all of them, the premise is, does your immune system react to this specific allergen? So they'll take a specific allergen from that organism. So whether it's a plant or it's an animal, and they'll expose you to that allergen, and then they'll see if you react to it.
Why is it that, because a lot of people are allergic to cats. A friend of mine, her allergy is so extreme, she's never seen my house and she just can't. So why does it seem among us that cat allergies are so much more traumatic than other allergies? And mine's not too bad. I just get like a wheezy, and not itchy, but just wheezy, because mine stems, I think, from mild asthma. And I think I have 3 of them. So that's a lot, but it's dealable, as I say. But some people can't even go in a home where a cat, even the cat's outdoors, and they can't even come into the home. Why are cat allergies so extreme?
Yeah, so allergies in general, they are your body's way of protecting itself from potential toxins. And naturally, it's used to try to rid yourself of, for example, viruses or bacteria that are trying to enter your body. If you think about allergy symptoms, right? So like the, teary eyes, stuffy nose, coughing, wheezing, right? It's trying to get whatever is in your body out of your body, right? It's trying to block the passages, it's trying to get it out. And unfortunately, allergies to animals or allergies to plants, these are your body's immune system mistakenly recognizing something from that organism that it now thinks is a dangerous thing, that it actually isn't a dangerous thing. Cat allergies are especially dangerous because there is one specific allergen from that cat. It's called FeLD1. It's an extremely stable allergen, which means it doesn't really get broken down, so it stays around forever. So you probably have friends visited a house that had a cat like 10 years ago, and they still have the same reaction. And this thing, sticks around forever. The cat releases it constantly, and it mostly releases it through its saliva, but sometimes it sweats it out. And what you're referring to is its dander or its fur. The cat actually licks itself. So the allergen will attach to its fur, it'll attach to its dander, and that's how it spreads. Otherwise, allergens are really tiny proteins. They can't actually spread through the air, so they need to attach itself to something, and the dander is just what it attaches to. But it actually stems from a cat's saliva, and it needs to basically latch onto something to do so. And unfortunately for us, the cats do lick themselves frequently, and so the dander just is able to get everywhere. They're perfect sources of transportation for the allergen.
They sure are. What is that called? It was an LD1?
FeLD1. So it's like feline, FeLD1.
And appropriately named. And yes, cats are groomers. I think I bathed Dennis twice. He's my long hair, Maine Coonish kind of cat. He didn't like it, but the other cats, I'd be clawed to pieces if I tried to even just try that. But would bathing your cat make a difference?
100%. Your goal is to try to get rid of this allergen. And in almost all cases, an allergen is a protein. And one really effective way is to bathe the cat, shower the cat. Unfortunately, again, it's easy to do that with dogs, and dogs don't lick themselves as much as cats. And so for cats, you have this really, really stable protein, stable allergen. They like licking themselves and they don't like being bathed. So you have this trifecta of things that makes it really dangerous. There are other biological issues why FeLD1 specifically isn't a very good allergen, but it has to do with how it activates your immune system, and it's just a very unlucky circumstance.
So how does this FeLD1 last even if a cat was in the home like years ago? Here's an example that came in my head, floated in my head. If you buy a house and there were cat owners, maybe, I don't know, that lived in the home, not the recent seller, but the seller, the owner before, not the recent owner that sold you the house, but the one before, was a cat, could that affect someone?
Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, there are cases of 10 years, 20 years, and it just so happens to be an extremely stable protein. It's just something that lasts a very long time. And everything degrades constantly, but this one degrades very, very slowly. And so unless you are constantly exposing the house to very high temperatures, very high moisture, or other crazy conditions, that protein is probably going to stay there. It's not going to all stay there. But for example, I don't know what the actual numbers would be, but you might have still 20% of the amount of allergen that was in a house 10 years later. It's a portion of it, but that 20% could still set off your allergies. That 20% could still give you a really hard time.
Wow. And why are some of us so sensitive to certain things, to FeLD1 or, even other things that affect our allergies? And some of us are just not bothered too much. So for example, I can stand being with my cats, but I get that wheezy, feeling, which is related to allergies. My friend can't even bother to come in. She would be itchy, blowing up, whatever. Is it just that people's bodies react differently? Or is it just, obviously people's bodies react differently, but is it just the chemical makeup of each person that makes the change? Or how does this work?
Of course. The way that your body secures itself is through these bodyguard cells. So your body's made up of cells. There are specific types of cells that are like bodyguards that are trying to prevent people from getting into a club. And so these are called mast cells, but you can think of them as these muscly bodyguards. They have little scanners. And the scanners basically scan everything that's trying to get through, and they only let certain things through. Other things, they'll overreact and they'll have this, you can imagine instead of just punching the thing to try to make sure it's out of the club, it will randomly combust and set off a set of allergic reactions to make sure this thing definitely doesn't get in. That's your body's natural immune system. The scanners themselves were obtained in a previous instance. So in order to have this allergic reaction, you had to have been exposed to this allergen at some point previously. And so every person is exposed to different allergens as a child, different things. And so every person has different sets of little scanners that the bodyguards are holding. And so if you were exposed to a bunch of cats earlier and your bodyguards picked up those scanners in which it said, oh, if I see a cat allergen, I'm going to overreact and I'm going to explode and cause an allergic reaction, then you're going to have more of a serious allergic reaction. In fact, the way that you actually test for allergies is you test for those scanners. So if you know that someone has more scanners for the cat allergen, more likely than not, they're going to have very serious cat allergies. So the scanners are called IgEs. They're a certain type of immune protein. And if you have more of those, then you are probably more allergic to that thing. That's actually what all the allergy tests test for. And those are the final readouts that you actually get. And so, that's how your body's immune system works. That all has to do with the history of your body, how your immune system adapted, how it learned what was bad and what was not bad. And unfortunately, everybody has different ways of doing that. And it's a very complicated process. And somehow, if you're allergic to cats, your body has now filled with these scanners that say, if you see a cat allergen overreact, it's a danger.
So I wasn't exposed to cats younger. We didn't have cats. My first cat was Dennis, which was 13 years ago, but we did have dogs. So if you're exposed to not that allergen, but something close, does that make a difference?
Actually, there is, it's generally believed that if you are exposed to an allergen as a child, potentially you might have less allergies to that thing later. Because the way that it works is as you mature, so as you grow, your immune system is also growing up. And so the times in your life when you might randomly start assigning these scanners and believe that something's dangerous for you, it depends on when you're exposed to that thing. If you grow up around cats, actually pretty high likelihood, your body is going to say, hey, this thing is around all the time. It's probably not that bad for you. And therefore, let's not have as many scanners for this thing around. And there's other methodology. There's other ways that your immune system is able to prevent that overreaction. So it's highly dependent on when you were exposed. And that's probably more likely is you were exposed at a later time point in your life to a cat. And at that time point in your life, your body was potentially overreacting to things. And so when it saw that cat, it was like, okay, this is the first time we've seen this thing. It's probably bad for you. Let's get some scanners in there. Let's make sure this never gets into us ever again.
Wow. This is fascinating information about allergies. Way more than I ever expected to know about. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and talk about what led to the creation of Pacagen and what's it about. So we'll be right back. Hey guys, Michelle Fern here. Is your cat slowing down or having health issues? Do you wonder, what can I do to make him feel better? Well, Meow Greens added to your cat's food for 90 days will show amazing results. Guaranteed. Invented by naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, Meow Greens wants to invite you to give your cat the Meow Greens 90-day challenge. I couldn't believe the changes I saw in Dennis. In the first 30 days, you should see shinier coats and increased energy. By day 60, your cat will have a stronger immune system and improved joint function, all due to the live nutrients you've added to their diet. At day 90, better digestion, reduced inflammation, improved heart health, and you just might have reduced their cancer risk. For a free, yes, I said free, Jumpstart trial bag for your cat today, go to roughgreens.com and just use the promo code CATITUDE. That's RUFFgreens.com. And use the promo code CATITUDE. You just cover shipping. You don't have to change your cat's food to improve your cat's health. Just add a scoop of Meow Greens.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking to Dr. Zhao about allergies. And he also created a product. You're the co-creator, right?
Yes.
With your wife.
Yes. Yeah.
So how did you decide, no, she's allergic to cats?
Yes.
So tell the story. How did you come to create, say, okay, now I have to create a product because my wife needs to be around cats?
Yeah. I always say I'm a converted cat person because I think prior to 2020, I never thought I was going to get a cat. I've always liked dogs more. And which, I don't know if I should be saying in this podcast.
That's okay. Me too. I mean, I'm from, maybe like 2000 and when did we get Dennis? He found us. All my cats find me.
Oh.
I don't know, probably the last 15 years. Before that, I was dog.
I mean, I love cats now. So, it was 2020, COVID hit. We were working from home. My wife was working from home and she said, maybe we should get a pet. because, love to have someone to take care of, especially because we're home so often. And, at the time, they basically said, if you exit your house, you will be killing people. So I felt like walking dogs was probably like not what I wanted to do. And so I just searched kittens available for adoption near me. And we found Meow Meow, was our cat. And we brought him home. And we brought her home. And my wife was just pretty allergic to her. So she was having asthma attacks. She was really not reacting well. We had no idea she was allergic before we got Meow Meow. There was no way for us to know.
Does she have any other allergies, or does she have like mild asthma?
She didn't have any of that. She
None.
Yeah, nothing. She actually thought I was going to be the allergic one because I'm allergic to seafood, and so we were really shocked that she was allergic.
Wow.
Yeah, life works in mysterious ways.
It sure does. It sure does. Okay, so then what happened? So you adopted a British Shorthair.
Yep, her name's Meow Meow, and we fell in love. She's perfect, and we found out my wife had allergies. It got to the point where my wife couldn't work out in the house because the instant she worked out, she would have an asthma attack. It was very, very intense. We tried everything. So we were washing the sheets every day. We were, using all the products on the market for her, and it just wasn't helping that much. She ended up just taking allergy pills, right? So she was taking Claritin every day. And I was looking into it, and my wife's got a PhD in molecular biology. She was looking into it too. And we were like, this is such an odd problem that people really haven't come up with a solution from. It is this protein, and proteins cause almost all of the issues in your body. So, when we're treating cancer, we're basically treating one protein. That's just how all of our medicine has now been developed. And so we were looking at this and we were like, okay, so there's this external protein. It is messing with your immune system, and that's all it does. But this protein isn't that important for cats to be happy. Like, you don't actually need it to be active in the cat's body. And also, it doesn't do anything to you. Like, it actually has no reaction to your body. So we saw this and we were like, well, we know a lot of different ways to neutralize proteins, to really try to make sure that they are not active in your body. One of the ways is we create a binder, meaning if you have a protein of interest and it's causing issues, we can have something that binds to it, and it's like duct tape. It like duct tapes its mouth shut and it says, shut up, you're causing issues in the body. Let's make sure you can go through the body and not cause any harm. So we found a lab that worked with alpacas to try to discover these things. And I can go into more detail if you're interested in how alpacas are involved. But we leverage alpacas to help us discover something new. No alpacas are really hurt. And we then manufacture it, create a product out of it, and create a spray so that you can spray the area in which you have a bunch of cat allergens. The spray duct tapes all the mouths and all of these allergens, and it makes it so that your body doesn't recognize it, so you don't have the reaction. And so that was the creation of it. We found some friends and we were able to get a little bit of funding. It cost a bunch of money for us to do, and we got the product out, and now a bunch of people can live with cats more easily.
I think that's incredible. So let's talk about how it works and for what extreme, because there's people that are going to say, you know what, I'm allergic to cats. I've been allergic forever. Nothing's going to change. So yeah, we have those naysayers. Then you have some that are going to say, you know what, I want to give this a shot because they've always wanted a cat, and they're more open-minded. So how do you go about convincing someone? Sometimes it's someone in your home or a friend, you got to try this, or I'm going to try this and it works and you're not going to have a problem.
Yeah. So there are a couple of reasons why we created this specific product. The first is everything else on the market we saw. There are many ways to destroy proteins. And unfortunately, cat allergens are a very stable protein like we were talking about. And so some of the other things that people are selling like bleach, to basically spray bleach in their house so that it kills the protein.
What?
Yeah. That's one solution for cat allergens is, I guess you can just spray bleach. Here's the problem with all those things is it's not specific to the cat allergen. And so if you are spraying something that kills proteins, you are made out of proteins. Everything that makes us work as humans, those are proteins. And so that's not going to be safe for you, right? You can obviously imagine you probably shouldn't be spraying everything, including like your cat, with something that just degrades proteins. And so the thing that I love about our solution and the reason we created it is we use it every day, is it's very specific. The duct tape only duct tapes the cat allergen. It does not work with anything else. So people are always like, hey, will this work for dog allergens? It will not work because the dog has a different allergen. And that's actually what makes it great. It does not work for any other protein in the human body. It doesn't work for anything else in any living organism. So it's completely safe for somebody to use. So my wife and I just had a 3-month-old newborn, and we use it around newborn because we know that the way that we developed it, it only binds to that one thing. And it's very, very good at duct taping that one thing to make it not work anymore.
Well, congratulations. You're a new parent. So
Thank you.
congratulations to you and your wife.
It's been rough, but he's
It's a
cute.
lot, yes. Okay, so now let's go to the cat. As we know, not true for mine, but most cats are finicky. So you have a cat topper and a spray.
Mhm.
The topper, cats are finicky. Are they going to like this? Are they going to still eat? And how does it work? So do you just sprinkle a little? I love the packaging, by the way. Do
Thank
you
you.
just sprinkle a little bit on their food and that's it? Once a day, twice a day?
Yeah, think of it like a salt shaker. You know, once every day during the meal, just put a little bit on top while they're eating it. It will neutralize the allergens in their mouths, and therefore and it also they'll spread it to other places of their body right after they eat, and you'll see very nice results for your allergies.
And what about flavors? There's chicken flavor. What other kind of flavors do you have, or just this one for now?
There's chicken for now. We are working very hard on a fish flavor. We're trying to be very safe, and it just turns out that the supply chain, so trying to get fish and then trying to get fish powder is much more difficult than chicken. Chicken's just much more commonplace, and so it's taking us a little longer for that. We should have that available in a couple of months, the fish flavor.
And how does the spray work?
The spray, it comes with a little powder packet. That powder packet has the secret ingredient. It has the whisker block, which is the special duct tape protein that will block the active part of the allergen. And so you pour that into the spray bottle. You add our stabilizing solution, which is something that helps our duct tape last longer. And then you just spray the areas in which you want allergens neutralized. So, for example, my wife has a lot of issues because Meow Meow is a very naughty cat. She loves being on our bed, but if you're allergic to cats, having all over fur and dander in the area where you sleep, not that great. So I actually use the spray mostly on our bed. So I'll first use a roller, roll up the fur, but then I'll spray it and spray the bed so that when my wife goes to sleep, she doesn't have this reaction. But for example, if you have guests visiting the house and they're going to sit on your couch, you can spray your couch. You can, unfortunately, you can't actually spray a cat. That would be a very great way of making things work. Another way you can do it is if you've seen people put on perfume or cologne, you can spray it into the air and you can breathe it in, and that will help line your lungs and different, the different airways, so that if it ever comes in contact with the allergen, it will neutralize that response. And so there's multiple different ways to use the spray.
So you can ingest it. Have you thought about making, I don't know, a dosage for humans?
Yeah, we're working on it. We want to be very careful with regulations, with testing, with all those things. We've done all the safety testing, know that it's safe for humans, but we want to do probably another clinical trial just to make extra certain. And then we need to make sure we work with the right regulatory bodies to make sure that it can be a good product. But we're working on it right now.
This has been such a fascinating show. What about other allergens? So I know, catitude, you have cats. So for some people, cats, of course, have the feline. As you said, it's the feline FELD1. And so that's much stronger than, say, if someone's allergic to dogs. I don't know if people are allergic to other things like bunnies or iguanas. I know cats and dogs are most common. But do you think you'd come out with a dog version?
Yeah, so dogs have 2 different major allergens. There's actually 2 of them. They're called canine F1 and canine F2. So can F1, can F2.
Makes it easy. Okay.
Yeah, they make it easy, I guess. They're 2 different proteins and 2 different allergens. They are in the dog's saliva, and so there's less people allergic to dogs, but obviously you don't want to be allergic to dogs. We are going to be releasing a spray for dog allergens as well. We did the entire research process over again because it's a completely different allergen, and we're really we're hoping that we can help people with dog allergies as well. And then we're also working on dust allergies.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's much more gnarly than you can imagine. We're excited about it. Do you want to hear about the nastiness of dust allergens?
I did that allergy test, the one where they put the dots on your arm, and
Yeah.
I lit up. Dots everywhere. I didn't think I had any allergies, and I lit up. And I'm allergic to grass, dust, dog fur. I take an allergy pill, but I just deal with it. We're right with the cats. It's a lot worse because I also have mild asthma, so I find myself wheezing around them every so often. And again, it's because I'm on the couch, and that's where they are. So.
Yeah.
There's more of that. Tell us about dust, because whether you have a dog or a cat or a fish or a bird, probably have dust in your house.
Yeah, I apologize to everybody listening for ruining your lives, but the truth about dust is you're actually not allergic to dust. You're allergic to dust mites. And you're actually not allergic to the dust mites. You're allergic to 2 allergens in their poop. So if you're having dust allergic reactions, it's because you're reacting to their poop. It is and it just so happens that it's also a very dangerous reaction. Because remember what I said about other allergens? Other allergens are not actually harmful to you. They're not doing anything to you. You're just having an overreaction. One of the dust mite allergens, so the thing in one of the dust mites' poop, is called DER. So dust mites, their name starts with DER, so it's DERP1. That is something that cuts things. So it's called a protease. It cuts other proteins. And the reason it's causing a reaction is because it's cutting up all of the linings in your lungs, all of the linings to all of your airways, and it's allowing other allergens to get into your system. And so it's actually super dangerous. If you are exposed to dust as a baby, you have 5 times higher likelihood to get asthma. So it's an extremely terrible allergen to be around. And we did entirely a different process to try to find something that neutralizes the allergen activity this time. So the actual ability of the dust mite allergen to cut through things. And the thing that we found, which is going to be in the dust spray that we're going to release in February, it neutralizes the activity of that cutting by 76%. So we're really hoping to help other people. Even if you are allergic to dust, by the way, it's still cutting things up. It cuts things up in everybody. It's just that for 40% of people, you just happen to be overreactive to whatever it lets through.
So even if you, and this is not true of me, I'll confess, even if you're spotless in your house, there's still dust existing.
So the study about the asthma, it's an excessive amount of dust. So my guess is if you have a spotless house, you're not going to have enough of the allergen in order to set off the issue. But yeah, dust mite allergens also last a long time. The reason they're good allergens is because they're extremely stable. And so they will cause issues. That's why people recommend air purifiers, air filters. They actually are very good. I actually recommend most people get them because you really don't want dust lying around. It's really bad for you.
That's good to know. And yes, I do have an air purifier. Time to get a new filter for that. So tell us where, this has been fascinating. Thank you so much, Dr. Zhao. Where can we find Pacagen, right?
Yeah, Pacagen, like generated.
Generated, right. Where can we find Pacagen?
Sure. So we're available at some novelty pet shops, but you can find us as well on our website, Pacagen.com, Pacagen.com. And all of our products will be available there. You can reach out to us on support. We're really excited to talk to people and just to help people.
This has been fascinating, and you're a scientist, so did delve into there, but you made it very relatable to those of us that are not scientists. So thank you so much for coming on Best Bets for Pets and sharing this knowledge. I hope you all enjoyed this show. This has been fascinating. You're going to want to check this out. Pacagen. It is simply incredible. I'm excited about it. Having cat allergies and having people that have cat allergies can now come over. So check it out. I want to thank my guest today, Dr. Evan Zhao. Thank you so much for coming on Best Bets for Pets. I want to thank everyone that's listening. Thank you so much for being a loyal listener to Best Bets for Pets. I appreciate it so much. I want to give thanks to my cat crew that, allergy or not, they keep me on my toes. And I love them. So thank you, Dennis, Charlotte, and Molly. And thanks to my amazing producer that works his magic and makes this show sound amazing. So thank you, Mark Winter. And, allergy or not, give your feline a hug. Why not? And remember, you'll never know what we'll have next on Best Bets for Pets.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.